Right, okay, right, we move on to the inside of this Cheltenham Fawn. As you can probably see, it's not in the complete state as it is, but actually it's in pretty good nick, it's in pretty good condition. Most of the framework in it, as I probably said in another video without going on and on, most of the framework in it is the original hardwood. Some of it's been replaced in, well, small sections and all the rest of it, but it's in really good nick. Anybody know anything about Cheltenhams? You know that the bottom of the door frames, they're usually replaced in pine, but this has got the original hardwood door frames, which I've never seen before. Cheltenhams, they rot like any other vintage caravan. They get patched up, they get repaired, but this is done really well. The floor. When I bought this caravan, originally it had not the original tongue groove floor, but it had the guy had bought the boards to replace all the flooring on it in tongue groove. There was a few bits missing. There's a few bits that I needed to find, but it was the right grade. Again, tongue groove isn't cheap. You try and buy tongue groove, it's either the grade isn't right, or it's just cheap quality stuff. So I decided to ply the floors. So basically the floor is just normal ply. Underneath it's primered, then it's bitumened over the top, then it's got waterproof membrane over the top of it again. So there's going to be no water ingress at all from underneath. It'll go on for years. I never really understood why. I know some of the early ones, I think they were creosoted. Then some of the later ones, they had chipboard floors in them, which was a disaster. But yeah, anyway, it's got a brand new floor in it. As I said in the previous video as well, the chassis and all the rest of it, the chassis was stripped, it was primered, it was painted, it's in fantastic condition. It's had new shock absorbers, it's had new brakes on it. It's had new wheel bearings, it's had new tyres, a new damper on the front. All the brake rods were taken off and cleaned and primed and painted and put back on. So all the pivots are nice and loose on it. So it's virtually as close as you can get to a new van underneath. As you know, the shock absorbers on these things ain't cheap. And they're getting rarer and rarer to get anyway. So it's brand new shock absorbers on it, which is absolutely brilliant for it. Regarding the inside of it. I'm going to do something a bit different with this one, something a bit more modern. I think I'm going to go for a modern wallboard. It's got this photo, it's fake wood effect on the walls and the furniture. Some of the furniture is quite badly damaged. Some of the rot and it's been taken out and kicked about and all the rest of it. So. And I've only ever had one of these vans with this sort of covering on the walls and the furniture. I never liked that one anyway. So thing. Every other one I've done has always been dark inside. It's always had the dark wood, which I quite like. It's just a good quality, what they call like a blonde ply. Then you stain it. Then you either yacht varnish it or you lacquer it. I've lacquered them in the past because yacht varnish these days, everything's water based, it's all rubbish stuff. So it gives a nice finish. Then you get the cream sofas, and just lighten the thing up a little bit, and it feels modern. So as I said, with this one I want to do something a bit different. So I'm going to do, I'm a purist in certain ways, but sometimes you've got to be practical with these things as well. So the wardrobe in there, I'm going to reduce that to half its size. I'm going to put a fridge in the bottom of it because even though the Electrolux fridge that sits in the front, and this did have an Electrolux fridge, I know because I stole it for another van. They're brilliant fridges, they're absolutely cracking things, but they're just too small. You can't get anything in them. You know what I mean? So I think a more modern fridge with try and get the door to look a bit more retro on it. More modern fridge to slide in there will give a bit more room, a bit more depth and all the rest of it. I know you're losing the wardrobe, I know you're losing the height and all the rest of it, but there's 3 shelves in the bottom. A lot of these had heaters screwed to the front of the wardrobe at the bottom anyway, so you weren't getting the full height anyway. So that's one thing you're going to do. The rest of it, as I said, with a wallboard, a modern wallboard, nothing out there, nothing strange, nothing sort of, quirky colours, none like that. Something really subtle, creamy, mushroomy, beige sort of colours on there. The panelling, which goes on the walls originally and on the side of the furniture, I'm going to replace with a grain sort of ply board. You can buy it from Magnum Motorhomes. Again, it's not cheap. There's other suppliers doing lots of people doing, but it's not cheap. The wallboard isn't cheap anyway, but you add it all together, it all mounts up. But yeah, so I'm going to go something with a wood grain, probably like an ash colour for the furniture, and the walls just a very subtle grey beige colour, which make it feel a lot more modern than it did. The roof, again, it's got one panel missing, which is not the end of the world, but if you're going to do the walls and you're going to do the rest of it, you may as well have the opportunity and take those panels off. It needs re-insulating anyway. The roof is in fantastic condition. As I said from the previous video, most of them you got, the paint, they've been painted and painted. There's been no etch primer put onto them, so the paint just literally peels off in sheets. I've even had them as people have filled over the roofs of them, and it just cracks and breaks off, and that's an absolute nightmare. But the roof is in absolutely fantastic condition. So I'm going to take all the panels off, get this rock wall out, what do you call it these days, pull that out, replace the panels. It's a good opportunity, really good opportunity, once those panels are off, is to do the electrics. 12 volt for the lighting. I'm not going to do the original lights back in it. It had, I think these are out of it. It could be out of something else, but it's that style light I think was in it. I'm going to put LEDs in it, not stripped LEDs, whatever, just small subtle LEDs into the roof. Just so you can have, one they're low voltage. So the system or the setup I'm going to put in this, I'll explain in a minute. You're going to use them off grid. Most people use these type of things now off grid. There's a big thing now about sort of going to campsites where it's back to nature and all the rest of it. And I've been to a few in the summer. This summer I got a camper. I do camper conversions as well. And I've gone to these sites where they're kind of like real basic, just in nature. Stunning views, just quiet and all the rest of it. I'm not too sure about the composting toilets, but that's something else. But yeah. So for the electric side of it, it's basically going to have, obviously the fridge is going to be 230, 240. So it needs a socket for that. Use a socket for a kettle. Even though I do enjoy, I've got a whistle kettle somewhere. I enjoy that. And just another socket, but mainly geared towards off-grid 12 volt. So basically put LED lights in the roof, discrete, some reading lights front and back, so one on the side of the wardrobe, one beside me, and two above the kitchen. I think that gives it a really nice sort of, brings the light down in the evening. If anybody, people have got classic caravans, they know the old fluorescent tubes that go sort of smoky colours. They give off a horrible light. It's like being in a 1970s pub. To have a nice bit of crisp lighting, warm white lighting is really, really nice in them. So I got the opportunity to run all the wiring up and everything like that. So it'll just run off a leisure battery. And what I tend to do with these is you just put a smart charger. You put a 240 volt socket on the outside of the van. The leisure battery will last you a week with the LED lights and your USB charger. As long as you can charge your phone, as we all know, that's the most important thing. But that battery will last a week. You come back off your holiday, you plug it in on your drive, whatever, you recharge the battery. You can leave it because the smart charger will switch off as soon as it hits the voltage. You know what I mean? So it's so easy to do. You don't need 3,000 watts of energy to be able to cook a Sunday lunch. Do people cook in caravans anymore? I don't know. You know what I mean? you know, pubs and stuff like that. It's easy. I think caravanning, especially in vintage caravans, should be more of an experience of how it was, not sort of, you know, this sort of culture of, you know, I go for the biggest and the best and whatever. So yeah, so that's down to the electric. So real minimum with the electrics, LED lights, warm lighting, some nice reading lights, and the rest of it. As I said, with the wall boards, I haven't quite decided yet on the exact one. I kind of know what I've used before in my camper conversions, and I kind of think, you know, I quite like that. It's what I like. So that's that side of it. The sofas and things like that, I think the cushions I've pinched for another van. So I need to, well, try and get hold of some new foam. Again, that's not cheap, new foam. So I'll do those in a lighter colour, curtains in a lighter colour. So it'll just have a nice sort of modern feel inside it. The toilet compartment, which is a bit of a pain, these toilets and these things, the fiberglass compartment. I want to put a cartridge toilet in it, a Thetford C20, whatever they are. I want to put one of them in it. I think that's the bit that needs to be done to make it more modern. So you've got a modern fridge and a toilet facility in it, which is, yeah, it just modernises the whole thing up. So the next stage is to insulate it. Some of these handle supports they're not actually rotten, they're stained. But I've washed it today and there's no leaks coming through it at all. All the base rails are good and everything like that. So yeah, so the next stage is to insulate it with an aluminium foil insulation on it. Really go to town on that. I say the floor has been insulated underneath. So between the membrane and the ply, it's been insulated. So get the walls insulated on it. Then you start thinking about trying to make a decision on the wall boards for it. I got some really nice. I bought it for something else, and it's a long story. It was delivered, and I didn't realise it being delivered, and it sat there for like 3 weeks. Then all of a sudden I passed it, and then I realised it had been delivered. It's bamboo flooring. It's vinyl, but I've been trying to find something to put it into. And you know, these colours coming in my head and all the rest of it. I think this bamboo flooring is going to look really nice in here. It's vinyl, so it's like a lino, what they call lino or whatever. So it's brown and sort of beige strips in it. So that goes really well. Practical as well. So you know, well, the winter months are coming. We all know what state inside the caravans become. Yeah, so that's nice. Some of the original furniture can go back in, but obviously modernised because it's rotten. This cupboard that sits here, that's a bit of a bugbear. The top, because all the kitchen units, all the sort of what's it called, the worktops are done in they're Formica. They're that blue sort of what's it called, marble effect Formica. I think I've got a tiny bit here. That sort of finish on it, and I've got all that, but the top of that unit is wood, and every one I've ever had before has never been wood. It's always been the Formica. So it could be original, maybe someone out there knows more than I do about it, but I think it's wrong, and it's going to bug me. It's going to bug the living daylights out of me. So I either try and find another bit of Formica, or maybe one of you have got, you know, the top that fits it. But that's going to bug me. But I'm going to keep the original worktops, and that where the fridge was originally, I'm going to put it some more shelving in it, and some cupboards and storage space, because that's one of the things these vans do lack is, you know, cupboard storage. I know you've got the cupboard that goes above, just above where you are at the moment. There's a cupboard that goes there. But again, that's narrow. That's not a lot of depth in it. You can't really get much into that. So I want to give it a bit, you know, a bit more storage. Under the bed, obviously, because it's having a 2-4 gas and electric fridge into it. So gas bottles got to go under the bed, smart chargers got to go under the bed, and all the rest of it. So there is limited space under there. This side of you obviously got a bit more space, and the top lockers, which I think they are quite poor. I think they quite poor nick, so I might have to think about that. I do like the curves on them. Now I love the curve on the Cheltenham's cupboards. But you know, I've done it before, I've made them before, and all the rest of it. I think the one across the back is missing or gone. Probably pinched it for something else. But all that go back in. But I think there's going to be a lot of sort of making the furniture back up and all the rest of it to try and make it right. The table and chairs, the unit sits in the middle there. That's okay. I think I can get away with that. The frame's okay. There's some damage on the bottom of it, but you know, again, it's going to be replaced anyway. This is kind of why I know for the purists, and I am quite purist with them. You know, these things have survived a long time. For someone like me to come along and, you know, put disco lights and all that into them isn't the way. But I think there comes to a point where you've got to say, you know, it's you're going to look at something, and it's a big investment, even from my side of it. You know, time-wise and materials, a big investment just for little bits of it to look tatty. So I think it's, you know, it just needs to be done. The furniture needs to be redone, but trying to keep it, you know, as much as it should be. But it's a really difficult one, because I do like the older vintage interior of these vans. The sort of, you know, the dark wood. I like all that, but something in me tells me this is a really good opportunity, because this is a very, very solid van. It's got plenty of years life left in it. You know, I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, it's not a patchwork quilt. You know, it's solid. You know, so it's worth spending the money on, to make sure it's right, and make sure it's different, and make sure it's sort of thing. As I say, from the outside, it's going to look like a Cheltenham fawn. The colour in the videos, it looks a bit more turquoisey in the videos than it really is. It's more of a baby blue. So, you know, it's that baby blue look, you know, which is the sort of what people go for. You know, in the interior, but just being a bit more modern, sort of thing. So anyway, so the next thing I've got to do is get the installation done. There's some bits more reframing to do. The side lights on the outside, they're like the Volkswagen type side lights on the outside, which are brand new. I didn't imagine we'd ever get hold of them anymore. The backings to them need doing. There's some little bits here and there need doing. You know, I need to find some of the vents covers to go over these vents on the side, the little ones that slope up. I need to find some of them. Oh, I tell you what, if anybody has got the little aluminium little things that protrude with the windows catch onto, I'm missing some. I'm missing 5. I'm missing 5 of them. So if anybody's got any, that'd be really good if you could help me out with that. Again, I've pinched them for something else. Window rubbers. I got new window rubbers to go in it. Front ones are an absolute pain to do. But I've broken enough glass now to realise how to do them properly. I have to do them without breaking the glass. But yeah, to replace all the seals on it, be watertight and all the rest of it. I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm quite looking forward to doing something a little bit different, a little bit sort of, you know, I say modern. It's probably not going to be as modern as most people think it's going to be, but I changed my mind about the weather. So you know, it's going to be nice. So it's just these summer vibes, the colours. As I say, in the sort of 60s and 70s, everything was colourful. Cars were colourful. You know what I mean? You had this turquoisey colour, well, it's not a baby blue colour. It was very, very popular in the 60s and 70s and things like that. I never liked the white on the Cheltenhams. I think they kind of, I've done them in white, and I kind of think they look just average. You know what I mean? So to put a bit of colour into them, and I'm not saying this is the right colour, this is my choice of colour, and I've done many other colours in them, pastel colours and all the rest of it, but you know, I think it gives that little feel of the 60s and 70s back. You know, you whack a classic car on the front of this, and it's you know, it's there and it's happy days and that. But yeah, so from the outside it's going to look like a original Cheltenham, but the inside is going to be a a bit modernised, a bit modernised. I don't want to say it's going to be modern because I won't do it ultra modern. But yeah, so hopefully it'll be back on the road. I did tow it this morning and it is towable. Back on the road for probably the spring. Got a lot more other things to do, a lot more other ones coming up as well. I've had probably a year and a half off doing other things, but you know, I'm gonna try and make an effort now to get back into it. Try and get things done. Try and do a few more restorations and stuff like that. You know, so yeah, springtime. Maybe before then, you never know. It'll be back on the road, back up and thing, ready for spring and summer for 2026. Yeah, just have a look, see what's happening. But I'm sure it'll happen. It will. Well, it's got to happen, hasn't it? So yeah, keep in touch, check in, and let's see how we're getting on with it.